Okay, this is the meeting of the Affordable Housing Committee on Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. It is now 7:03. And there's Brian, so we do have a quorum. We're meeting in the old town hall in the second floor conference room as well as via Zoom. I have a quorum. For those following online, this meeting is being recorded for posterity, so please note. So I'll turn things over to you for introductions.
Great.
Did your Veterans Day hat?
I do. You like that? My kids finally got me one.
Happy Veterans Day.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Herb Lime Cooler, and we're going to go around the room and introduce ourselves. We've got a couple of members of the public with us tonight. Tom Phillips,
Hi there.
a regular
Yeah.
joiner. And sir, you introduce yourself?
Gus Labrasiano.
Yes.
Gus.
Labrasiano, yes.
Gus, great to meet you. And we've got committee members, Steve?
Steve Grothwall.
Deb Garskoff.
Ryan Beatty.
And of course, our esteemed
I don't know about that.
executive lead, Mark Barnhart. And, Bob Ellwinger, how did I forget Bob?
Emeritus.
Bob, super emeritus member of the Affordable Housing Committee, new Board of Finance member. Congratulations again, Bob.
Thank you.
And so, okay, we're off and running then.
Super.
So we have a quorum, so we can go ahead with the minutes, I guess, is the first item.
Yep.
And this would be the minutes of the,
October 8th meeting. Put in your packet there, Gus.
yeah, let's,
You have a copy as well.
okay.
The highly contentious one? Well, that wasn't the highly contentious one. The highly contentious one was.
I can move. If we approve the minutes, I do have a comment or question.
Okay, do you want to make a comment or question first?
I forget Robert Rules of Order. Do you move it and then question or you question?
Probably so. So why don't we just for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I'll move it and motion that we approve.
Okay.
I'll second, but now there's
Okay, so now we're ready.
Okay. So on page one, for the Housing Authority, it says the only income that they receive is from the Housing Choice Voucher Program. But don't they receive monthly rents from all the tenants? And then pay monthly expenses?
I don't think she's a 100% voucher program.
Uh,
I doubt it.
It's, you'd have to go to the videotape, I guess, on this.
All right, it was just a question. Not
If-
really.
If you want to strike that.
All right.
Fine.
Another question I have is that if Greenfield Street becomes a homeowners association, don't you moving to do condo association? Is there going to be one contract for snow removal? That's my biggest concern, because that's slip and falls and stuff. What do you think? That's all. Just think about that.
So, I could I would suggest, I like this, but it's a little wonky. But it could just say, I think you're right, Brian. I think there's probably, Steve, I think there's probably other revenue sources. So you could just say, the Fairfield Housing Authority receives revenue through the Housing Choice Voucher Program. And eliminate the only income.
Yes.
I don't think that's accurate.
Yeah. My other comment just doesn't require anything,
So it would read,
amendment or anything.
it
It
would read
just-
the Fairfield Housing Authority receives income from the Housing Choice Voucher Program. That's okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Did I do this? I thought I read this before, but man, this is a little, and I would say that if Fairfield Housing Authority receives income from the Housing Choice Voucher Program, which supports 150 households.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I think that was all in the way of background as to the housing authority. Again, refer folks, it doesn't have to be a recital of everything that was said at the meeting, since we have a video of it. But yeah, I think that captures the essence of it. So if we can, if we're okay with that, making that correction, I'll restate this and send it over to the town clerk.
Any other corrections?
Any other? Yeah, any other?
We can approve it, right? Sub-
Yeah.
Say, say it.
Yeah.
You move as amended.
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
I wasn't here, but I can still vote on it. If you need me, yeah, not me.
What was it, 3-0, with one abstention?
It's majority of people
Yeah.
here, right? Majority of people that are here.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 3 approves,
One
0
abstention.
opposed, 1 abstention. Got it.
Okay, so that passed. So before we get to the rest of the agenda, Gus,
Yes.
Tom's a regular attendee here, so he knows how we operate. We'll go through our agenda item by item.
Yes.
And then I guess we may start with old business, and then we've got a couple of new business items. Did you have a particular interest that you brought tonight, or just want to learn more about what we do?
Learn more.
Excellent. Perfect.
So I don't really have much to say.
That's
I have to
fine.
listen, that's why I can't vote, because I don't have any opinions as it is right now.
There'll be a
So
point
I
at which we
don't know
can,
if it's right or wrong to vote.
you can't vote because you're not a member of the
Thank you,
committee.
well, thank you, I
Yeah.
appreciate
But
that.
there'll be time,
That-
you can
that's-
make
I
public
put it
comment or
that
ask
way.
questions, but, well, let's wait till that point.
I'll just be quiet
Excellent.
and watch the whole thing, and I appreciate that.
Oh, good, we're happy to have you.
Thank you, very much. I'm happy to be here.
So, Mark, I guess we could start with the old business items?
Sure.
This is your agenda.
I did not bring or send out, which I will do after the meeting, an updated list on the, our current set-aside developments that are in process. We have a couple of lists that we're tracking. One is, obviously, we're focused predominantly on those projects that are likely to contribute towards our second moratorium application. So, our first moratorium application was approved and it runs through March of 2029. So we have another 3 years to get enough points to extend that another 5 years beyond that point. There is, legislation currently pending in the General Assembly that could alter that timeframe, or at least the requirements, prerequisites to qualify for a moratorium. But, we're looking at projects that would contribute points. And so, our short list, if you will, there's multiple pathways, I think, but clearly in the wake of this board and the Board of Selectmen's decision, funding for 980 High Street under the using the Housing Trust Fund dollars, we're in much better shape, obviously, to meet the requirements for that second moratorium application.
So Bronson, I finally found it.
Yeah, you can see it from.
The train.
Yeah, from the train or from the highway or from the back of,
So that's a lot.
it's 91 units.
And it's 100%.
No, it is not.
No.
So the two projects that are currently under construction, which we expect to be completed probably no later than the first quarter of next year, would be the Bronson Road Apartments, which is a 91-unit set-aside development, 28 of which would be affordable.
30%.
30%. And then the other project, which you probably saw on your drive here, which is 131 Beach Road, which is a 40-unit set-aside development, of which 12 units will be affordable. Both of those should be
That's
wrapping up.
the Masonic line.
Yeah, with the former Masonic Temple site. So both those projects should be wrapping up or looking for their CO
Masonic
early next
830.
year. Both of them are 830Gs. Those are those two projects are currently under construction. we would anticipate, based on the discussion we had last month, that Carol Martin, the Fairfield Housing Corporation, would likely would try to start construction on that project either next month or certainly no later than the first quarter of 2026. Those 40 units are all affordable. And then we have a couple other projects that are mixed-use inclusionary zoning projects. I'm thinking of the Foundry at 81 Black Rock Turnpike, a pretty large project, about 250 units next to Illicit, between Illicit and the train station. That's slated to start break ground sometime in the next month. And then we have another project on Commerce Drive. We're calling it Trademark 3 because it's the same developer, Scala Partners, that was just approved by the commission. That too would likely start construction early next year, probably second quarter. So those are the bigger projects that would likely.
Illicit Brewing, that's 250 apartments?
Which one?
Yeah, by Illicit and the.
Yeah, it's 250.
250, okay.
Yeah, and then the Trademark 3, the Commerce Drive Apartments, which I don't know has a better name at this point, but it's where Rio Bravo and there's a small, there was a concrete testing facility in that building. That's slated to be 90 units there.
So I think the one at 81 Black Rock Turnpike is probably 12%
It is.
affordable. So that would be 30 units affordable of the 250.
Right.
And then what would the other one be?
Same with the
12%?
Commerce Drive, 12%.
Of how many?
That is where,
90.
90? So like 11.
11 or 12, somewhere in there.
Are there generally 80% AMI in those, or?
Yeah, the inclusionary is any development of more than 10 units must set aside at least 10% to households at or below 80% of the median. It's a little higher currently in the TOD overlay, 12%. We have some projects that are now pushing that envelope a little bit beyond that.
So that's why,
15%.
that's why Commerce Drive, 12%.
12%. So one of the things that we've talked about is whether to propose a text amendment to zoning that would increase the set-aside requirements, both townwide as well as within the TOD overlay zone. And, you know, where that should be without making projects not viable, so. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, just a related comment, Mark. I sent you and Herb a copy of the Shelton Affordable Housing Plan. And they proposed to increase the percentage of affordable as the project gets bigger. And so if it's a 10-unit project, it's 10%. If it's a 100-unit project, it's 16%. And 200-unit project would be 18%. I'm not sure I follow the logic of it, but
Well, clearly there, you can draw one inference, which would be, I'm encouraging people to do small unit developments.
yeah.
So if you really get penalized if you try to do something of any size.
If you were looking for,
Positive spin on that, encourage to do smaller.
if you were looking for an economic rationale, I guess you would say it would be the fact that you are,
You can
you're
spread
able
it
to
over.
leverage the cost of the land and leverage other, maybe fixed costs.
You can certainly make that argument, which is the more units you have, the you're able to spread those fixed costs over more units, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, the state sort of does that with the LIHTC credits, right?
So there's a couple projects still pending, as far as I know, before the Planning and Zoning Commission. I don't think they've yet taken action on the project at 4221 Black Rock Turnpike. There's
The cigar store,
What's that?
the cigar store, is that right?
No, this is 4221 Black Rock, which is on the top, we call it the top.
Oh, yes, yes.
If you will. It's above the Hartford Healthcare,
Yes, yes.
the Fairfield Cancer Center, which is a pretty massive development. I don't think they've actually voted on the revised application on 108 B Road.
I have
although
not.
they
I think that's on their agenda for
It's on their
tomorrow.
agenda.
They've got a afternoon meeting tomorrow.
So I think they have two projects that are set-aside development applications that they still need to act on. 4221 Black Rock Turnpike and 108 Bureau Street. And then I think they also have a smaller mixed-use development down in Southport, but I don't think it has any affordable units in it. I think it's too small.
They've got that one on Congress Street still, don't they, the 1477?
You're right, the alternative proposal, the age-restricted housing development. So those, they did approve, I believe, the set-aside application for that same site, bigger. So they have another application that's pending. So their work is still not done.
There's another development on Congress, right? A proposed senior development?
That's the one we're talking about, 1477.
That's kind of by Barcelona, right? That end.
Yeah, I think they had approved the larger set-aside development. And then there's a second companion project, like a Plan A and Plan B.
I forget where the guy's from, but
Shapiro.
Shapiro. So the 1477 is a bigger development. It's like.
I think they approved the bigger development.
Yeah.
I think what they haven't acted upon is the text amendment
An
change.
additional 15-unit, a senior project, senior housing project.
I thought it was the same site, so I think it was in lieu of. Yeah.
Right. And I heard, maybe from you, that above the cancer clinic,
Yep.
they were still trying to build up there.
Yep, that's 4221.
Well, that's what you call the top of the rock?
Yep.
But the one further up Black Rock, which is also on top of the rock.
Way up on top
Yeah,
of the
what
rock.
do they call that
What is
one?
that one? Yeah.
That one's approved. That's the Al Camerata site. That was approved some time ago.
That,
Question as to whether or not it gets built.
4221?
The
No, that's
access,
a different one. I think it's
access road. They put the access roads in and stuff. Right?
4280.
Yeah.
What's that?
The access roads and stuff are in there, right?
Yeah, well,
When I ride my bike.
one that you're talking about, if it's on the right-hand side, as you go past Hi Ho, it's on the right, as you go towards Easton. It's a site that, from what I understand, there's quite a bit of, there's an opportunity to mine some of the soil and other products there and sell it. So I think that's part of the motivation.
There's rare materials.
Yeah.
We can compete with China.
Not that kind of, not rare earths. That would be nice, right in Fairfield. I'm thinking more
What do you know?
traditional stuff. Like sand and things like that. There's a number of these projects. I mean, I think we were talking about that before, that question whether or not they're actually going to go forward, even though they went through the process of getting applications approved. I know of a few that we've talked to the owner, developer, and they're kind of shopping it around. So it's they're not moving forward with any due haste. On the other side, the other flip side, I did talk to Paul Bimini today, who had a smaller set-aside development on 222 Stilson, north side of Stilson. And I think what I understood from him is that they've resolved their litigation, and he's moving ahead with that project, expecting to start work sometime next year. So that would also be in our short list.
Any
That's
questions?
behind Trader Joe's. That'd be Jeff.
That's the one, yeah, yeah. next to the condominium there.
Yes.
It's like a 3-story, 24-unit development, like on a podium with parking underneath and a couple stories above. So it's not a huge building. I think it'll be good when we're done.
So next to the Oaks, I
Right.
guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any
Other
questions for Mark?
projects or, so I know, I'll get you a list that includes, try to make sure it's updated and reviewed by my colleagues over in planning and zoning, make sure we capture the latest and greatest. But I'll send that out to everyone. And also, again, I've got a smaller, shorter list that we're tracking that we think are more likely to happen within the next couple years. That's what we're focused on.
Something that you could post online or.
You know, the issue, we can, we used to share that. We created a moratorium tracking sheet initially, and we would share it every month. I think and we created it for our own internal purposes to just keep tabs on development
You're
projects.
showing your points now, the 830, you know. 830
So then people would invariably ask, where are things in the process and, where we are in relation to the moratorium and that type of thing. So we did it. The only issue that, it needs to be constantly updated. So people then sometimes take that and draw inferences from that, which may not or may not be accurate. It's just a projection.
Draft.
I won't put draft.
Some kind of a
Yeah.
disclaimer.
Yeah.
Because I think also I've heard
Make sure it has a
inferences
date
made,
stamp on it so that it's constantly, so somebody can't take an old one. and-
for sure. But I've heard inferences made, well, we've approved 1,200 units.
They don't get the 50% roll now.
Those units, as Mark said before, those units don't all get constructed. I mean, we have, for various reasons, developers decide they can't make it work or decide they've got a better opportunity. So we don't want people to draw improper conclusions from it.
Red, yellow, green or something, or
Yeah.
it hasn't, it's red if it's, it's approved, but
Certainly if something is under construction, there's a better
Yeah.
green.
level of confidence.
Yeah, we've been looking, at those projects likely to start construction sometime next year as kind of our informal cutoff, because if they're not under construction by the end of next year, it's unlikely that they'll be completed in time to contribute points towards our moratorium when we need them, when the first one expires. So that's been it's typically, got to figure at least it's a 12 to 24 month construction, depending on the complexity and size of the project. The one that we talked about at 81 Black Rock Turnpike near the new train station is going to be a 2-year construction. It's a large project. It has environmental remediation components, a brownfield site. And there's a lot of site work that needs to happen. Smaller projects like the one I just mentioned, Paul Bimini's project, if they get their building permits in hand, there's usually, even when things move quickly, from the point in which they get their zoning approval, it's usually at least a 6-month lag as they prepare their construction drawings and documents, line up contractors, arrange for financing, then apply for a building permit. That's typically at least a 6-month time to do that. And then, on top of that, the period to build. So these guys on Beach Road are moving about as fast as I can, they've got things they're very efficient in terms of how they
All
build
the
stuff.
cars part of the.
Yeah, they bring in, the whole, when they have the electrical subs there, it's like 5 trucks with electrical. They're just doing the whole thing. So they definitely have
Yeah, yesterday was a mob scene.
so that's.
They think they're gonna be renting them in December.
What's that? Yeah,
They're gonna be ready for
he's
December.
told me that he's anticipating starting his marketing sometime next month. So it usually takes a little longer than they like to get this final CO, and sometimes it takes a while. It took a month to get Park Avenue energized. That was working with the UI company. So it's things that are outside of your control, but
You have to approve the marketing plan, don't you?
well, it goes through planning and zoning, but they send it over for my review and we comment on it. So we've done a couple iterations on 131 Beach on their affordability plan revisions. So I think we're in a good spot now, but we're waiting for the marketing plan. And, it's a requirement. They have to do an affirmative fair housing marketing plan as part of their submission. And we want to see how they're going to handle that. And then I'm sure you all have seen that too, I get calls all the time, usually at least one or two a week, from folks that are looking for housing. And, they usually start calling as soon as something hits the paper in terms of it being reviewed and approved by planning and zoning, and I have to go through talk to them about the process, even once it gets approved. Again, it's a couple year process before you even be in a position to apply. So, we'll typically then refer them to the list of, we have a list on our website that lists all the developments that have below market or affordable units in town. And then we also suggest that they sign up for updates from the Affordable Housing Committee when projects like 131 Beach begin their marketing and begin to accept applications. We'll post that information to the Affordable Housing Committee's news feed. And so if anyone has signed up to get updates, it'll alert them that something has changed, and they'll be able to go on and apply if they want to.
A centralized application process would be, I think,
It would be very nice, but the problem is that all these are owned individually by private parties. So we have to tell everyone, unfortunately, you're going to have to contact each one individually to determine, eligibility requirements, application process, is there a waiting list? So they all differ.
Yeah.
They can differ based on the funding that they received, whether they're set aside or another kind of development. And then the applications are similar. They ask the same types of things, but they all have their own process.
Maybe a town standardized application, maybe just.
Well, we share best practices. So we've provided copies of things that we think are good examples. Doesn't require them to follow it.
Follow. Okay.
So Mark, at Trademark 3, for example, if someone were to apply there for one of the assisted units or below market, are they also in the queue for Trademark 1 and 2? Or do they have to apply 3 times?
Well, that's a good question. So what happened, I believe they sold Trademark 2, Alto, to an investment group. So they would have to apply separately.
Yeah.
If it's common ownership, you would think they'd have a common app. Like a better example would be Post Road and Fairfield Station lofts, which were developed by the same development team. They had the same property manager for both sites, and I think their applications are the same. I don't know if a lot of places, I wouldn't recommend people keep wait lists. They're messy. And they're, you have to police them. And so some places are better able to do that than others. So it just opens up a whole other issue for
When
folks.
it's filled, it's filled.
Right.
And then
Just have to
you
call
reopen
back.
your marketing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Some places have a wait list, or at least I'm an interested person, but it has its own set of administrative problems. You have to follow everything, consistently. Otherwise, I think you open yourself up to some liability there. I'm not a landlord.
Okay.
Does that it for the list of projects? I think we've covered most of them.
So we'll move on to the trust fund.
Okay, I have that here. So as of the end of October, we had a balance of $1,393,284, of which we reserved $570,000 for 980 High Street, leaving an unrestricted, uncommitted balance of $823,284. So for the month, we had net income of a little over 21,000, most of which came from zoning fees. With your permission, I didn't include in that, we had previously had some money in reserve for Parkview to help with relocation expenses and other costs associated with the acquisition of property there. I would like to relinquish that reserve because we don't have any, we have successfully relocated the individual in question. I don't know of any other costs associated with that property at this time. So if that's okay, I took that $7,800 out. It's not, it went back into the uncommitted pot. I do know, I have received an inquiry from another individual who owns a property on Quincy Street within the Parkview Commons development. She's interested in selling her property. It is contiguous to other properties that we're looking to develop. So I have started the process of getting an appraisal done and calculating what the maximum resale price would be. And yeah, so I don't have anything for you to act upon tonight, but I would guess that we would probably be looking to bring this to you next month.
What number on Quincy is that, Mark? Do you recall?
I do recall.
Oh, you're reluctant to say anything?
I was a little reluctant to say something, yeah, but
Okay. All right, that's fine.
377.
377.
And can it be incorporated into one of the other developments?
So our issue here is twofold. One is
She wants to sell that property.
One is that this is all in a flood zone. We've gotten increasingly strident letters from DEP in terms of development within the flood zone. You'll recall that across the street where we had 3 contiguous properties, we were looking at a development that was something beyond the usual duplex. We were thinking of maybe combining them and doing triplexes instead to see if we could increase the number of housing opportunities there. And while we haven't made any final decision, I think based on the guidance we've received from both planning and zoning and the Connecticut DEP, it's more likely that we would revert back to our original plan, which is to build elevated duplexes on each of those parcels. And I think that's probably going to be our approach with all of these lots there. Now, the issue with 377 and some of these other parcels within that development is they're not conforming duplex building lots. So they're not, in a Residence B zone, we require a 9,000 square foot lot. We've talked about modifying that because a lot of our duplexes are built on much smaller than 9,000 square foot lots, particularly if both units would be affordable. So there are a couple different approaches. One would be going through a text amendment to change our requirements to lessen the lot size.
So you changed the lot size and
No, we won't.
zoning?
We would have to ask for a zoning change,
Oh.
the text amendment to this. And that would be subject to a public hearing. The other option, which also is through a process through the Zoning Board of Appeals, is ask for a variance. But again, it's not that you couldn't make the case for a hardship and a necessity for a variance. But I think, it's probably better if we look at our zoning regulations and determine whether or not we really need a 9,000 lot to build a build a duplex because we have ample evidence that you don't, based on our development patterns. We've got a lot of.
It's a town-owned lot, Mark. Can't you avoid that complication?
Well, we talked to the town attorney about that, and he was not of the same opinion as Austin Wolf, which was a use of the town is permitted within that zone. And so we did ask the town attorney as to whether or not he was comfortable with that approach, and he was not. So we really have two options here for any of these things that do require relief. One is ask for a variance from Zoning Board of Appeals, or the second is go through the process of amending our regulations to allow this kind of development to occur. So it's,
And
we have
that-
some time before we get.
Yeah, and that could have other implications.
Right.
If we were to make, review or revise the zone area requirements. Although we do know that there are hundreds of duplexes that are non-conforming, existing duplexes that are non-conforming with our zoning regulations currently.
Yes, so part of the thought was if you have that many this would make them conforming if we lessened our minimum lot size requirement, but also would open up additional opportunities to build something like that on smaller than 9,000 square foot lots, so.
And one less hurdle for a developer to go through.
Right. Yep. So we have some time in any event. Once I have the appraisal in hand, then I'll need to talk to the owner, make her an offer, and then would have to come back to this board and then go through the Board of Selectmen and RTM. You would be asked if you could allocate monies from the Housing Trust to acquire the property. And then we would need the approval, not only for the Board of Selectmen to approve the allocation, but also to purchase the property. So that would require RTM approval too.
So,
So go ahead, I'll go next.
thank you. So once you acquire the property, if you were to buy it,
Yep.
what are you gonna do with it?
What we're trying to do there is, because they're all in a flood zone and they're at the incorrect elevation, what we're trying to do is these are already deed
Let's say
restricted.
it's not in a flood zone.
What's that?
Let's say it's not in a flood zone. Let's just say it's a piece of property.
Okay.
You wanna buy it.
What we would try to do, as we've done on Greenfield Street, is purchase the property, tear down the existing unit, and then make it available for another developer to build.
So you make it for somebody else to build it,
Yeah.
the developer.
Subject to deed restrictions to keep it in place.
Exactly what you're looking for, they have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get that. Hey, whatever happened to the property off of Mill Plain, where it used to be where the old lumberyard was?
Oh, I mean Thorpe Street?
Third Street, yeah.
Yeah.
They were
It's still,
supposed to do a lot
it
of,
was approved for almost 150 units of age-restricted housing and the Jewish Home was going to develop it at the time, Mosaic Senior Services. And they pulled out, so it's Bob Cinto Development does own the property. And from what I hear, they're looking to develop it now themselves. It was on the market for a period of time. I didn't have $6.2 million to buy it, but
you look like the type to have that kind of. I'm
looks
sorry.
are deceiving,
Probably-
huh? Yeah, that's what it was offered.
We're right at the end of Mill
So
Plain.
they're gonna go
Right
through
across the
it.
street.
I understand that's what their plan is currently. Again,
It's the extension of Mill
It's in
Plain,
there
the dead end.
That could be the
and
limit.
again, that property too has its own,
Water,
it's surrounded by marsh,
yeah, all that
so it
section,
floods and
everything
it's really
over on
unsuitable.
Bungalow,
Right.
all those streets in there, that's why it's pretty much.
It's a
not-
very expensive site to develop because everything would have to be built on piles.
To raise it all.
Not only to raise it, but to just have a stable foundation. Right.
So it all,
You have
that's going
to-
to.
It's kind of mushy there. you know.
Very, yeah, it is. I've been,
And then there's apparently a sewer construction as well. The sewer pipe that leads to the site needs some rehab work. So all that factors into the cost of developing the site. And so we're still, yeah, as you said, it's been there for a while. It was approved some time ago for that
So
development.
you think within the next few years it's going to be done?
Well, probably in the next couple of years, yeah, there'd be some movement on it, but I've also been saying that for a few years. So don't hold me to it.
Anything else on Parkview Commons, Mark?
That's it for Parkview. We are in the process of demoing the 2 units there at 385 and 409. We do need a CAM approval, coastal area management approval. We've been waiting for like a couple months now for Habitat to provide updated elevations and other drawings to show the floor plans such that planning and zoning can act on it. They should have it in this week. But again, I've been told that last few weeks. So I'm pushing them to get it in because we'd really like to get that underway for early next year because they're finishing up Greenfield Street now. So the idea was pivot from 244 Greenfield Street to 385, 409 Quincy, and then go back to Greenfield Street for 254, second phase.
Mark, quick question, going back to the trust fund. I just wondered, are there any limitations on what, on amounts we can give?
No, you haven't
Clear.
established that. I think, in the past, we've been, I think the 980 High Street was a good example because it was a fairly substantial allocation, but on a per unit basis, it compared quite favorably to other allocations that we've made where we're only developing 2 or 4 units at a time. In this case, we're assisting the development of 40 units. So, no, there aren't any. You can establish some. And the other thing I will say that we typically structure, in other cases where we've used the housing trust fund is to facilitate the town's acquisition of property to further the development of affordable housing, either through our own actions or in concert with others like Habitat. In the case of the Fairfield Housing Corporation, we're treating it more, as a like we typically handle our community development block grant dollars. So we're structuring this as a declining balance loan over a 4-year term that goes to 0. So it does convert in the end to a grant, but there's a 40-year restriction period. So each year, 1/40th of the amount comes off, and then we'll have a declaration of covenants that's in perpetuity alongside of it. So we're working to have all those documents ready for closing. So with Jaffa. That's how we've done other money, other assistance through our community development block grant. Much smaller, but our multifamily rehab program works that way. Anything else? So I did mention 244 Greenfield Street. They're CO'd. Families are ready to move in. In fact, some of them are actually living there, renting it currently. They haven't closed because Habitat has been in the process of restructuring this as a common interest community, a small condo. And that's taken a little bit more time than I think they had hoped. So I'm expecting them, they wanted to close this month. Actually wanted to close last month. I think at this point, if they can close by, Thanksgiving, it'd be awesome. But ball's not in our, we've done all that we can, I think, at this point. So it's really their show. And 254 Greenfield Street next door, we'll need to develop a lease agreement, ground lease with them for that. And then we'll have to go through the same process to get our zoning approvals in place. That will need a little bit of work because it's not a conforming lot for what we want to do.
And of course, the neat thing is that these are owned units. And we have very few owned affordable units in town, like less than 50.
We're getting close to 50. This will be
That's actually a a lot. I mean,
It is. I mean, I think we should be
sites
very, I think we should be very proud of the work that we've done to create. And if we hadn't done that, there really wouldn't be any starter homes for sale here because there just isn't any inventory at an affordable. I mean, the duplexes that are being sold by Habitat will sell in the low 200s. And that's like unheard of for a first-time home buyer opportunity here. You know, we're not seeing anything sell for less than 350, 400 these days, even condos. So that's pretty good.
I think that's great.
Yeah. Because we don't have, you know,
How big is the unit?
we just need more of
I
them.
have to ask-
and it just-
I have to ask how big is the unit?
And the only
Well, no,
downside-
these are very, these are 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath units.
How many square feet was that?
They're not,
1,500?
they're bigger than that, but they're not.
It's substantial.
What's that?
They seem substantial to me.
Yeah,
They
Yeah, I
they're
think
not monstrous, but.
they present
size.
very well.
Anything after 1,500 to 2,000 square foot.
Yeah, somewhere in that range, yeah.
Is really nice for
Yeah.
for 200,000.
Yeah.
In Fairfield? That's amazing.
Yeah,
How many are there for sale? Maybe I'll,
4.
And there'll be 4 more next door to 54.
We hope.
When we get there, that's the hope anyway.
And Mark, what they sell for?
They'll be in the low 200s.
Low 200s.
Yes. Yeah, this is,
It just, it pencils out, right? It's like-
I mean, they're deeply
Work back.
subsidized. You can't, they're being sold at below what it costs to build them.
It's gotta cost more than that to build it.
And we own the land,
I don't
so
know.
they're not paying anything for the land, but even beyond that, you know, the sweat equity plus the subsidy, you know, it's all part of it.
It's a nice model, the Habitat model, and they're making it, you know, that much more affordable because they're providing the financing too. So it's just, I wish we could do more. It'd be nice. So that's it for Greenfield Street, and then we have our workshop coming up next week, next Wednesday. We do have, we have 20 people that completed the survey so far, all of whom are residents of the town. All but one own their own home. More than half, 65% indicate they know little to nothing at all about accessory dwelling units, so we're hitting our target group there. 75% say they're interested in creating one. Most cite that they're trying to provide housing for a family member or age in place as the reason to do so. Most cite, 3/4 cite regulatory barriers as the key impediment. One person indicated that they had tried to put a unit over the garage and ran into a number of issues. They indicated that our requirements are spread out over 4 departments. I'm not sure that planning and zoning would be my, this is something we should investigate. And became frustrated with the overlapping, confusing requirements and abandoned the project. So they're hoping to come to this meeting and understand better the process. So that's who we want to talk to, for sure. And then, you know, almost half said they were very likely to create one in the next 5 years. So again, I'm sure this will not be surprising. The majority of folks were over the age of 65. So we do have 32 people signed up. We'd like to get up to about 50, so please help spread the word.
So I think Christine Vitale was going to cite this, did we say,
Yeah, it went in the newsletter.
in the newsletter?
Yep.
And then
in our newsletter.
And then the Bigelow Center, I think, said that they would cite it this week in their newsletter, which I guess would come out tomorrow or Friday. Fairfield Senior Advocates did, we have a more limited mail list, but FSA did a mailer. So I think anything we can all do to promote this would be.
Do we have any posters or anything?
I can get you some if you need some.
Are they up in the libraries and that kind of stuff?
They are.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
It's easy to, I go to the train station I'll be there tomorrow. I'm happy to take some and just tape them up.
Okay. I can send you a digital copy of them.
Thank you, Tom.
How big is it an 8 by 11?
It's a standard 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll print up some and stick them on tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, send me a copy too.
Will do. Send it out to everyone.
Yeah, sounds great. Do we have them, I mean, can we put them in, we don't have them in town hall.
Yeah, I put some on a table out in
Okay.
the other building and people pick them up, so.
Yeah, okay, great.
Are they at the libraries too?
They are at the library.
I'll put them up at the train station.
Well, maybe we can get, I could ask if they, at the Bigelow Center, if they could post it on the wall as well. I'll ask if they'll do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Definitely do that.
Hey, Mark, if you can send it to me tonight, I'll print it up and on my way to the station tomorrow. As I get to the station, I'll pop it up.
I think I can do that.
Thank you.
So we have our panel all set. Herb is our moderator.
And I'll be making a cameo appearance to get things going.
Bob
but-
is retired, so.
Bob is, our super moderator is retired, but, so it will be Emmeline, leading off and I think probably guiding much of it, followed by the local builder, Oscar Leal, Brian Fitzgerald, an ADU owner, and then we'll also have Denise Walsh again as the realtor. So it should be a good panel. And
We're in the, it's the second floor event space above the Fairfield University store, 7 o'clock on the 19th, next Wednesday. And Fairfield U is graciously providing some refreshments for us, as well as the room for free. So that was nice.
Mark, as far as handouts are concerned, I know we've got the one on the Housing Trust Fund.
We have a couple pamphlets. One is the Housing Trust Fund, one is the ADU guide. And we have, thanks to Steve's efforts, a lot of AARP books on
So
ADUs.
you got the 25, and I got some I'll bring as well, same two.
I have a box.
I didn't ask for 25. Oh, yeah, so you don't really need any more?
Somebody sent me a box, so I got a box.
Excellent.
Yeah, you got 25 of each, right?
So these are the two that are they'll go out, that'll be available for folks at the session.
Great.
And then we can also, there are other resources too, at the AARP, and we can encourage people to go to the AARP for information they want.
The plan is to, it's also on Fair TV, an ad for the workshop, and we've asked Fair TV to come and tape record the session for those not able to attend, so, like they did last year.
So we can encourage people to watch it even if they aren't able to be there
Yep.
going forward. Okay, anything else on the workshop?
No, I think we're all set. I'll work with you on your slide deck.
Yeah. We'll compromise on.
Well, I think you want us to just set up the room, but you don't want to spend too much time.
No, I know, but I do think every opportunity we have, well, about the Affordable Housing Committee.
Yeah, you can do that in a couple
Work.
of minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will only envision a couple of minutes. Okay, we'll work something out. Then we've got the technical assistance grant. Is there anything new there?
I don't have anything. Do you have anything?
No, nothing new. So again, for everybody's benefit, this was the effort that Mark and I were involved in. Brian's on the board of the Housing Collective, the big board. We were involved in a project that was funded by a state grant by the Housing Collective involving other towns. And the expectation was that this would be renewed for another year. There was one early meeting. I attended part of it. Mark was out of pocket. Emmeline was involved in that meeting.
Yeah.
It was a Zoom. And there's the intent to keep this going, but we haven't heard anything substantive. So we're a little bit behind the schedule.
Melissa. So, I mean, I think that it's been beneficial more so in terms of just sharing information. And, well, we're more the giving kind than receiving.
Well, and it's interesting though that in your new business, there's actually some other opportunities for housing collective on the grassroots.
Yep. We'll get there.
And
And
get that out of them.
yeah, the POCD has been adopted. We have a new planning and zoning commission, a couple new members that are be seated next
week, I guess.
week, yeah. And so I think Herb and I did meet with, and Steve, with Emeline Harrigan and John from planning and zoning, the staff, just to get a sense as to how they saw the process unfolding. And I think our sense was that from that, correct me if I'm wrong, but it would probably take the rest of this year to kind of get through the other items they have on their agenda, get organized, and then be receptive to maybe having a joint planning meeting with this body to talk through some of these issues after the new year. So I think that's kind of our focal point now, I guess.
Yeah, I think we were talking about maybe putting together some kind of a slide deck
Yeah.
with issues and options and whatnot that we could work through with them.
Yeah.
In this, certainly we won't get everything done in one meeting, but at least start with an initial meeting.
They have on their plate some technical, some additional changes that they want to make to the zoning regs and to implement the strategies or policies outlined in the plan. So I think they have some things they're working on. Some of that may tie in nicely. Like I know they're looking at shared parking. We've talked about modifying our parking requirements, particularly for, thanks to Bob's work, larger commercial plazas that seem to be overparked. So there might be some things we could do in the short term that align with their priorities. And then I just left the plan goals on there.
Yeah, and then, I mean, a lot of our goals are really embedded in this work that the Plan of Conservation and Development is pursuing. A lot of things that we've recommended have been embraced in the plan. And I think some of the other ones will be addressed in our discussion with them. So I think we're sort of doing two things at the same time in a way.
It's a nice copy.
Yeah, I printed it out because you said we wanted to talk about that, but I didn't think there was much to talk about. I thought it was. Anyway.
So next month, I mean, we have elections next month. We sort of start a new year next month, and we get the calendar year changing. Next month might be a good time to talk about where we are with goals.
Okay.
In the 2022 to 27 plan, and what do we want to accomplish next year? And one thing that we'll have to start dealing with is the next plan, because we have to, I guess we have to submit a new plan by June 1st of 2027. And in the past, it's taken us a year or the better part of a year to pull that together.
Yeah.
So,
Seems pretty fast to me, actually.
Yeah.
Would we get a consultant again, you think?
It probably would be helpful to have some additional resources to do that.
I like Glenn, but I would recommend getting somebody different. Just for,
Well, I think we've talked about whether, just doing a, more of a RFQ, RFP type process to see what else is out there. I mean, Glenn is obviously familiar with Fairfield and familiar with our work and has worked with us very well. He's also reasonably priced, relatively affordable, tends to
he's
work
worked with
within
a
our
lot of other
budget.
towns too, so he's got.
Yes, so he has a lot of experience. There's a lot going for him, but I do agree that it would be helpful maybe to at least open it up and see who else is out there, and maybe we get a different perspective, somebody that we don't haven't yet had an opportunity to work with. So, but I think, yeah, that process typically is a year to a year and a half. So we'll probably have to have that as one of our action items or goals for next year. And then just how that relates to this pending legislation to the state that requires another plan. That's apparently different than the other plan requirements. So a lot of requirements coming out of Hartford these days, which is.
Is it worth talking to the Yale School of Architecture? There might be lots of people with interesting ideas and may cost us nothing.
I don't know that they're going to develop a plan for us because, I mean, I think one of the things that what Glenn has done in the past is he's helped facilitate a lot of community outreach and done workshops with, ways in which you can engage the community to get some meaningful feedback to help inform our plan. He does bring expertise based on his work with other communities as to what else is out there that we could possibly consider and look at, even though I think we're at the forefront of those efforts statewide. So it's more looking outside of Connecticut perhaps to see what else might generally apply here. And the other key component is a housing needs analysis. Now we do some of that in-house. We have to do some of that for federal community development block grant dollars. But again, it's helpful to have somebody that's, able to get into a lot of the demographic data and parse it. And I just don't have the time to do that. So, and then just writing up the plan. So it is, I don't know that you can get a group of students or anyone to write something for you, do the whole thing, for free, because.
Not for free.
But I do think, there might be areas where.
I have some insights onto what's new, what's being done differently, what's emerging elsewhere, etc. Could inform the consultant's view.
It could.
I think we're all proud of the 2022 plan. It was really, really nice document, really laid things out for anybody who really want to know about affordable housing. It's right there. It's right there for you. But yeah, we need to be looking at what's out there, and for sure.
One of the things that I see a lot of civil engineering in the US is generally not particularly cost effective. And there's a lot of changes coming up in the civil engineering field, the way houses are built. The firm that I talked about in Andover, Restore Systems, where robots are building the panels. They're doing essentially the same thing at Habitat for Humanity, but at much greater cost. A lot of innovative stuff like that.
I think it depends on the scale. I think
It
I
does.
just talked to somebody today and who's looking at modular construction, and it's not that cost. It doesn't really save money in terms of the actual cost reduction. What it does do sometimes is it saves time, which can save costs.
Time is money.
So it's something that we have looked at before, and developers have certainly considered it. Some projects are more
Suitable enough.
able to use modular construction than others. So it's not a quite.
It's not a panacea. But then a lot of things aren't solved by isn't this panacea. It's a lot of these little, you chip away here, chip away there, and suddenly you've got some,
There is definitely believe in incremental progress for sure.
and suddenly you've got yourself a good solution.
Now we're on to new business. The only other thing that I did want to mention, I haven't really read this in depth, is as you know, there's a special session currently underway. Somebody's up there right now.
They're in debate.
Yeah.
Like 6.
So I did look at the draft bill. I haven't made my way all the way. I know Herb has as well. And, there's some changes that would definitely impact us here. I haven't quite got my hands all the way around it yet, but there is reference to the need to create a municipal housing growth plan. It wasn't clear as to how that relates to the affordable housing plan. It seems like it's a completely different plan, but another thing that we have to produce within a fairly short period of time. It could be related, I don't know, but Yeah, there's a number of things here, and if you don't do some of these things, then you wouldn't potentially not only not be eligible for some additional dollars from the state, but also you wouldn't be eligible for a moratorium as well, so.
I mean, nobody would take away our current one, but in terms of future moratorium,
I was gonna say, because I got
The summary is, yeah, this is the bill.
you have the one with the hyperlinks.
I don't have the hyperlinks, I have this.
is that the CCM summary?
No, I have the CGA actual bill with the hyperlinks to all
The summary, Bill? Did you have a summary or was it the bill?
Here's the bill.
the. She sent me the bill.
Has it been modified since?
The bill has a summary in it. Here,
Okay, good.
I don't have a way to text this through.
Well, maybe you could send it to.
If you forward it to me, I'll forward it to the whole group.
Because
Good.
And I start reading these things, and then they change it, and I start
you have
over.
trouble sleeping, it's great, it's great material.
I put it through the shredder and give it to the rabbit. Rabbit enjoys it.
Mark, I don't know if we need to close the loop on 980 High Street, but there was a vote by the Board of Selectmen
Thank you.
on the 29th. So it was approved by the Board of Selectmen. And so it's,
Was it 2-1 or did she abstain?
2-0-1 abstention.
Similar to our vote.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're still working through, again, working with the attorneys on putting together the documents for closing, so. And then I did include here, just an open discussion item. Certainly what came up in the context of 980 High Street was, gee, maybe the Affordable Housing Committee should have public informational session or workshop on the Housing Trust Fund. And as coincidentally, I mentioned, I said, we just had that conversation at the Affordable Housing, maybe we want to create a workshop. It was in the context of, talking about our work as it relates to Greenfield Street and our partnership with Habitat. I thought that was a nice story to tell, but so that people would understand, the role of the Affordable Housing Committee and the Housing Trust Fund and how it has, furthered the development of those units on Greenfield Street. So that was a topic. Certainly that's one thing that we've talked about, maybe doing sometime. We do the ADU workshop in the fall, maybe we want to do something in the spring. That's more, about the work of the committee, the Housing Trust Fund, the role, and then provide a couple case studies or illustrations. But I was actually thinking too, one of the more powerful moments of that conversation on 980 High Street, I thought, was the individual who came from Trefoil, who lived in Fairfield Housing Corporation, Fairfield Housing Authority property, and talked about the need for affordable housing, how it's really impacted her life. And, I think too, I mentioned this to a number of folks that I get calls all the time from people, and many of them are seniors or folks that have adult children with developmental disabilities, and they need housing, and they're desperately looking for housing options here locally. And I go through the same story about, well, there's, we don't have any available units at the moment, but here's how you would go about putting your name in, and what you can do. And I think most people, when I mention, they're surprised about the number of calls that I get. And it's like, well, it's fairly regular. I mean, it really is at least 1 or 2 times a week that I get a call like this, and it's from different
It's
people.
only 1 or 2 times a week.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be conservative. There's sometimes, you can predict it. If the Planning and Zoning Commission is acting on an application, invariably, when it hits the paper, I will get a series of phone calls,
Flood.
3 or 4
Yeah.
within the next day or so from people saying, how can I apply? So I think there is a tremendous need for more housing options here locally and more affordable housing options. And I think part of it too is there's always this feeling like we're doing this for somebody else, but it really is people that we know, our neighbors that are needed that. And I thought it would be helpful, maybe at some point, and Jackie's not here, had talked about maybe working with a local videographer and talking to some folks that either have expressed a need for affordable housing or live in affordable housing, and put a human face on it a little bit. Because it's really, it's people that look like all of us. And I think,
I mean, there really are a lot of misunderstandings about affordable housing. I mean, I had a conversation just today with somebody and said, is this a diversity, equity, inclusion thing? I said, no. I said, you know, people who, in Fairfield, people who have a household, a family of 4 that earn $100,000 are eligible for affordable housing if we can find it for them. And I mean, but I think putting the people that currently have it, enjoyed it, and appreciate it so much, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah.
And with that, the math is not understood. Right? AMI is Greek to, right?
right,
And it should be.
it's very,
But that, and I agree with everything's been said, and I also think, especially after listening for most of that call, which is very painful. Thanks for doing the job. I think a tour or a video, like a video tour, like I thought that tour, even though we didn't, how many people came when we did the pine tree?
we didn't have that many, but, I'm sure we could arrange other tours.
Because
Open houses.
I look at the stuff that she put together for High Street I think it's great. I'm like, okay, I really don't think there's an understanding of it. Do you even know what these places look like? Like I would invite people, I'm like, you go over there, I'll tell them where Pine Tree is. You go on and you tell me which ones you think are which ones you think are fair. I mean, if they'll see the signage, I guess, but I'm going, you might be pointing at the wrong, if I didn't tell you or you didn't see the signage there, I don't know that you'd be able to pick it out, especially with the 830G that's tucked in over there.
An open
I mean, the 830G is also affordable, but it's not
The same
what was
with
done,
the same with Greenfield Street. I mean, those were very moving experiences this summer.
Same thing.
There's 2 open houses. They were really great. And getting a chance to meet the people, appreciate how thankful they are, how excited they are about this, how this is such a
life-changing moment.
tremendous change.
Ownership.
But it was a big, I think, in my opinion, a bonus to the neighborhood. I mean, it was such an improvement over what was there
What was
previously.
there,
Like,
yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's win-win.
I mean, our issue, and I've said this to First Selectman and others, oftentimes it kind of flies beneath the radar. Most people everyone leads busy lives, so it's really, unless it directly impacts them in some way, like they're looking for affordable housing for either themselves or a family member or somebody that they know, or there's a project that happens to be happening in their particular neighborhood that they're interested in, it doesn't resonate with a lot of folks. And that's the challenge that we have, which is trying to get more engagement from the public at large when it doesn't directly impact them. And, if we had $1 for every time somebody says, I really want affordable housing, like affordable housing, just not here.
Next, yeah.
And that's what I say that with economic development too. Everyone likes economic development as long as it doesn't come to a neighborhood near you. And the same could be said with affordable housing too. That seems to be and there are impacts with any development. Certainly going to be more traffic, that type of thing. Folks that live near these, you're not going to be looking at a strand of trees behind their house. There is going to be a building. But there's a trade-off, because we do need to create, additional housing options as well. So it's a challenge, but I'm trying to think of other ways. And it would be a good lead-in if we're going to be doing an update to our affordable housing plan. We want to attract that group of folks that have some interest in the topic to those meetings to get them involved in the process, so.
Could Carol help us? She's got a number of apartments, but she's also got a waiting list for all of her developments. And those people might be able to relate,
Yeah, I think we'd probably ask all of our housing providers for suggestions as to folks that they think could provide good testimonials or just, would be comfortable either providing a statement or better yet, if they were willing to appear on camera, that we could, I think it helps, I think,
Humanize.
relate to, and it would dispel some of these myths as to who we're really helping here. It is very much, it looks like the rest of the community. And the people that call, if anything, it tends to go a little older in terms of the people that are calling. So.
In fact, the intersection between affordable housing and age-friendly Fairfield is very stark. And that might be a natural a way to popularize the issue or to explore the issue, to explain it.
Yep.
I was quite startled at the talk you did for ARP when you pointed out that these new apartment complexes, 1/3 of the residents were young people with Part 80 children, 1/3 were middle-aged people who had undergone a life change, and 1/3 were elderly people who just couldn't manage it.
Yeah.
That's quite sad, because that's the mental picture that most people have is young families, lots of children, overloading schools, and that's simply wrong.
Yeah, that we have very good data on. So it's good to get that message out. And clearly, the folks that deal with this, like the Planning and Zoning Commission regularly, they understand that now because we've had 10 years of data from the Board of Ed that really sheds a light on who actually lives in the units and whether they have school-aged children. And the fact of the matter is, there's not a lot of school-aged children in a lot of these developments. But
that's not the perception.
it's not common knowledge. Yeah. Or, it depends on the development. Certainly on Pine Tree, where you're providing housing for an older population, one that is more disabled, you don't see that many cars. And it kind of intuitively, that kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
They're maybe beyond the point where they need cars, they can rely upon public transportation, everything's kind of brought to them. So, but yeah, I think there's a lot that we could be doing in that area. It's just how best to get the message out. We've even talked about whether it makes sense to just have guest articles in the newspaper on a particular topic. So,
So circling back to
if there are any newspapers left.
circling back to the housing collective, they're working with a bunch of grassroots stuff on affordable housing, and there should be definitely things to piggyback off of. I'm not tapped into that. That's not.
Well, they've definitely talked about communication strategies, and to your point, Tom, I mean, we do have two universities here.
Yeah.
We have, media and communication programs. So there might be an opportunity to partner with them to help us,
absolutely.
tell that story
High school does
at a less
support that.
expensive. Right. So,
It could be a great project.
Stuff.
yeah. So sometimes you get what you pay for. So, but on the other hand, I've seen some amazing work from some really talented students. So.
I think it's definitely something for us to look for. And we're talking about having some kind of a public session, at least one for sure, right, in the spring.
Yeah, I do think that makes sense. We talked about that before. That makes.
Bob said that he and some of his Bob's not with.
He popped off, yeah.
But he had mentioned to me that some of the people in government in town that he had spoken with feel that smaller sessions could really be productive. That they might even consider having in people's houses or whatever, where a small group of people get together and kind of talk about issues. I'll stay with him to see if anything comes of that. I think the thing is we don't want to be thinking in terms of a once and done. And we need to think in terms of some sort of
An overall.
Systematic.
continuing,
Yeah.
systematic production of communications that we can get out there.
Make it a student contest. Put $1,000 up as a prize. I'm betting you'll get some extraordinary submissions every year.
Yeah, my only, I've expressed this concern to her too, which is we got a very small staff here and we just can't be doing it ourselves. And so that's where, all of you will hopefully come into the picture a little bit. Even with students, I've had a lot of student interns and a lot of student-run programs. They need supervision, and it takes a lot of time and effort. Some are really great, and some are not so great, but it's a learning process. And I appreciate that because I have kids of my own. They need that opportunity as well to grow and expand their boundaries, but it's not like you can give them a project and say, yeah, just go that and come back with a finished thing. It's
No, I think we can structure this more. You could provide oversight, you know what's going on, but we have committee members and maybe some other folks that really can.
I mean, this workshop that we're doing on the ADUs really isn't a huge heavy lift for us. So we have other people that are helping shoulder the load. So, we can do something in that context. So that's what we just need to identify who those other people are.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you can find a bunch of people to volunteer. Might be happier, but there must be people in town who
No, I think we
We're
can.
going to use Tom.
We'll have to put our heads together when they're offline. And I think we probably ought to keep this on the agenda monthly and talk about this and with the idea of certainly by spring, getting out there and having something.
Maybe I'll just call it communication plan or something like that.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
One of the things that was fascinating, the lady from Ohio, the ARP thing, she said like was it, I don't know if it was her town or the county, there were 600 volunteers who would help out with all the,
Yeah, probably not volunteers like us that are, doing this on a monthly basis, as Mark said, and Mark's from York County, Pennsylvania.
oh yeah, okay.
So Mark and I Mark was really the presenter.
York?
County.
The county, it's a series of,
No, I'm from Pennsylvania. We know our counties.
and I worked there for a while and I lived just south of there. So it was sort of like old home week in a way. But we're going to have a follow-up conversation with her next month. But yeah, she said they had 600 volunteers to help with this aging in place thing. But
Well, how many volunteers do you have on FSA? You guys started adding that stuff up.
actually, but we've had
I
different.
didn't say who actually does the
Well,
work.
we've had
I'm
people
just
come in
saying.
and out. But we've had people come in and out over time.
Mailing
so-
list of.
Yeah, so when you can build up a big number,
I think we can.
a big bragging number pretty quick.
But when it comes down to, I work with a lot, I'm volunteer myself in a lot of organizations and it comes down to like a dozen people actually doing the work.
Yeah.
It's definitely 80-20.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funnel. It's a funnel.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of drops out, you
Yeah,
got the core
absolutely.
group that's committed. Yeah.
Absolutely. Is there anything else then for tonight that we want to
Just
get
one
through?
thing. Mark sent out a note about a conference coming up,
Oh, yeah.
December 2nd.
Yeah, December 2nd looked interesting down in Norwalk.
And what's it on?
It was, well, I don't have my phone, but you sent it to you guys. I just forwarded the invite. It was from the Housing Collective, I think, that was sponsoring. It was a movie about Nantucket and affordable housing, how they're addressing affordable housing on Nantucket. And then they have 3 elected or
Oh, yeah.
local officials from Norwalk, Canaan,
Westport.
Westport are part of a panel to talk about how their communities are addressing needs within each of their respective communities. Just looked interesting. I mean, the movie, they were going to have a movie and discussion or something like that.
On the 17th and 18th. Next week.
Yeah.
CHAC is having one here today.
I know.
Go to
Virtual.
that?
Probably.
And Operation Hope, anything happening with their new place?
Funny you mentioned that. I'm trying to get that over the finish line. I think we're at a point now where we've investigated the town's property and determined that there really isn't much to be concerned about in terms of any subsurface conditions. It's in an urban, like a lot of the sites here have a history. So nothing's ever pristine, right? It's been developed. But for the most part, what we're dealing with is a building that has asbestos and lead paint and stuff like that that has to be abated before you demo the building. And I think we're ready to go. So we're hoping to, I know the church, the Episcopal Diocese is hoping to close by the end of the year. And I don't see why we can't do that. So.
So I also sent you the Partnership for Strong Communities is having it's virtual
Right.
affordable housing conference.
Maybe they want
17th
to.
and 18th. I just sent the link to that. I mean, I don't know.
So the state Department of Housing just had their in-person soiree on the same subject. And then I know, like, when they started this a few years, it used to be just the partnership did this. And then the state created their own housing conference, which kind of like
Stole some thunder
came
there.
on top. And so these guys are now doing this virtual thing, but maybe they had to like counter program that to like spring or something. So it's.
Yeah, spring, fall.
Right.
Is this a virtual meeting on the 17th and 18th?
Yeah.
I didn't go to the state one either because frankly,
I sent Mark
that interesting.
so he has the bill and this, so maybe you could just,
I will forward it.
yeah, with the bill or whatever, whatever.
I may wait to forward that tomorrow, but I'll get your ADU.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's,
print it out.
that's priority and then, yeah, these.
I'll print it out tonight after you send it in, so I've got it ready to go tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Just the only thing I would
Anytime.
add on the whole education stuff, 'cause the other thing that's apparent from watching the Board of Selectmen thing is there's a high level of, and even from elected officials, a misunderstanding, and unfortunately, false narratives are out there, and that's all people hear.
You talking on the bill, the housing bill?
No, talking about High Street.
Oh, yeah, we saw it live.
No, I don't know how many people were tuned in, but
Yeah.
I might have sent a text or two to Steve.
I think it's a good reminder to us all. We sometimes, especially people that work in government, staff,
Yeah.
we sometimes forget that we're immersed in it.
Yeah.
And we think that everyone else has the same level of knowledge, but they really don't. You have to constantly remind yourself to share
Yeah.
because what you think is common knowledge is not so common. And that's true. We always think of that with our programs. Well, we put out, press releases and it's on our website. And how come people don't know about these programs? Well, unless they're actually looking for help at that particular time, it generally goes
Yeah, straight over.
So you just have to constantly, it's a constant battle to send stuff out. Just remind
I think
yourself.
Christine sent out a good email after.
Yeah.
That was good.
It was.
And that was an email blast, right? It went to many people in town. So if they bothered to read it, very informative, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about a pretty complicated subject. in
Yes,
terms
it
of
is.
Housing and affordable housing in particular.
I spent a couple hours at the Bigelow Center talking.
Yeah.
They did a great job.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
add that.
You had very good attendance. There must be over 100 people in that room.
Well,
Well, it wasn't quite that.
but more than 50 were signed up, I think, and present. It was
But
very.
I was
Well,
shocked.
There's
that
to be
people
more than
paid
50
$12
people in
to
that
see
room.
Oh, come on.
You're a big draw.
Well,
Gus, did you have anything? We're about to close.
I think it was fantastic that I came here. And
hopefully it was
and
helpful.
like what you said at the end, that if you're not involved, then you don't want, if you want to know something, then you get involved in it.
Yeah.
If not, you're out, you're not even.
We're not paying attention, because you got other things to worry about.
Other things, and unless you have a reason to, and that's why I guess that's why I'm here in a way.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what's going on with the town, where it's heading, and because I see a lot of things going on. I've been here for, I think, 16 years, and I see it getting larger and different things are happening.
Yeah.
And I like to be involved, but when I ask questions to people that are in the government, the system here, the town, they can't even lead you in the right direction.
Oh.
They sent me to the other building, came here before in the afternoon. They told me that I go over there, told me come over here.
Oh, boy.
I mean, and last month, I wanted to go to another meeting, any meeting. I just want to get involved with the town now.
Yeah.
And so I guess I get the AI on the phone and told me the meeting and everything.
Yeah.
There's no meeting.
Well, this is,
I mean, I just felt like, hey, there's a meeting tonight. I'm going to come. And just think about it. If I didn't come and he didn't come, you couldn't even have a meeting. That's what it sounded like. Was it true?
we wouldn't have been able to vote on the minutes. Everything else would have counted.
Oh, because I don't.
But we had a couple of people who had other commitments or away tonight, but this is our regular time, so second Wednesday.
We're the second Wednesday.
And the only time we might alter it if there were for a special
Like a
reason.
holiday or
If
something.
it were a holiday.
I don't mind giving my number out to you, so you can help me be aware of what's going on.
Well,
also.
you have an email address you can give?
Yeah,
Okay, well,
absolutely.
we,
And I do have because it was a very helpful meeting. I really enjoyed it.
Good.
I mean, I thought it was great. I was happy I came, to be honest with
Well, if
you.
you ever miss it, we're all on videotape. We're on videotape now too, so.
Get out of here. Are you serious?
Any of these
I'm glad I
meetings
didn't talk by
That's
you.
why we used to be
Tape recorded.
Are we still on?
Yes.
That's enough. I'm done.
No, the point is that you can go back and look at any of these meetings, by going on the town website, looking for recording. And almost every meeting of significance in the town is recorded. And these are.
You have trouble sleeping at night, that's a good
But I mean, but we did, this is all posted on the town website. So this is our normal date, second Wednesday, 7:00. Usually we don't meet in August, but otherwise we're around.
And it's here. I have it.
Normally here, once in a while we get bumped to the other building,
Okay.
but it has to be posted. So we have to post it 48 hours in advance, so you can always, but this is our regular time. So,
Thanks for
Fantastic.
coming, Gus.
yeah, Gus, good to see
Thanks
you.
for inviting me.
Yeah, if you want to leave us your email address,
I would love to do that.
and
So you can let me know other things going on. And I do,
We add Tom to our mailing list, so we can add you to our mailing
thank
list.
you. And I do have other kind of questions that,
Okay.
so I wouldn't know who to ask.
If you have questions, you can send them to me. and I'll
So
find
I
out.
have your
Yeah,
information.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
yeah. You can send them to me, and if I don't know the answer, I will find out who does.
So I gotta make a motion here.
Thank you very much. It was
absolutely, it's great having you.
pleasure.
You're always welcome.
Thank you.
We really try to encourage people to come to these meetings because, again, this is part of this getting the word out. And there's no better way to do it when somebody sits in there with you and
I'm surprised there's not a lot of people.
So
there.
excited.
Well, this is pretty regular. It's a small
This is
group.
regular, but that's,
you'd think they'd be clamoring at the doors.
I would think there'd be more people, to be honest with you.
We're not a,
So one of the questions I want to ask is, so this affordable housing, this building up your property, housing in Fairfield. So how many people are moving in each year?
She's gone.
I know.
I'm under the impression that 1,000 people within the last 5 years, 1,000 people moved in every year for the last 5 years.
No, that wouldn't be.
That's not true.
It's about, I think the average population gain is like 2%, less than 2%. And,
For a 5-year period, like for
yeah, for a 5-year
period.
period, so
2%.
For a 5-year period, so that would be like 1,200,
over 5 years.
maybe 1,200.
There's a
over 5
changeover
years.
of people
I'm
too.
listening to you.
So
What is
Yeah.
there might be
200
7,000
units
people.
here,
moving in.
100 here. You're doing a lot of units, if you ask me.
Yeah, you can see it's not as many as you think. We've averaged, so we went, our normal, historically, we were in the last 10 years, we've averaged about 150 new units every year in terms of building permits. The 10 years prior was an average of 50 units per year.
But they're single
So
homes
what has changed
or different?
is that in the last 10 years, about a little over half of those units have been more rental units in apartment buildings. And before, it was almost exclusively single-family residential, of which we still have 80% of our house, we have 22,000 housing units in town. The vast majority are single-family houses.
Sure.
And that hasn't really changed. So, it's an interesting question because you think, you're adding 150 units each year, but the population is not growing at the same rate. So who's filling these units? And some of them are, I'm thinking it's probably some folks that may be having a place here and then have a place someplace else, so they're not a permanent full-time residents of Fairfield. But the population growth has been pretty slow for the state as a whole. And Fairfield is growing a little bit faster than other parts of the state, but not that fast. As Bill has,
The population peaked sometime in the
If you
70s.
send,
the population,
I was going to say your slide deck
yeah,
for the Bigelow Center.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's so much information in that
It's
slide.
all based on census data. So our population's pretty much, we were at almost 60,000 back in 1970.
70, right.
And then we dipped down,
Yeah.
and then we've come back to about where we were in 1970, a little bit beyond. So if you're a fairly new resident of town, you're seeing this and you don't have the appreciation where we were back in 1970. I had a commissioner that was like that. It's just looking at, well, same as you, saying, well, look at this growth. But you have to put it in a bigger context here. So Connecticut's not growing very fast, and we're barely, covering replacement. So one part that is growing are the universities. So it's very interesting. You look at the age demographics for Fairfield. We have this. We're a lot higher in the 18 to 24 age bracket compared to our neighbors and the state as a whole. But then when you get to 25 to 34, we're much less. So you go to school here, maybe go to a Fairfield or Sacred Heart University to get your college degree. Then you go someplace else for a while, for 10 years.
Yeah.
And then it comes back, which has been Fairfield's story for a long time. Fairfield is a very family-friendly community. There's a lot for families to like about Fairfield. Great school system, lots of good things for kids and families to do. So you see folks move away, and then when they're ready to start having a family, then they say, well, where am I going to put down my roots? And Fairfield's a good place for that. So we see that it's interesting that you look at the age cohorts. It's really pronounced. Like the 18 to 24 it's a much bigger band here in Fairfield than surrounding areas. But then the 25 to 34 year olds, they'll disappear.
So how do they get counted at all then? Because they're
I'm gonna
really
say.
transient, you know?
You know, it's come up before, and I think that's in your population numbers, the universities. It depends on where you want to declare your domicile.
And those rental properties, right, if it's students.
It's how you respond to the census.
I was gonna say, and I'll give it to Mark.
But it's clearly in the numbers.
So you give it to me.
Otherwise, I couldn't explain that 18 to 24.
Yeah, bump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is really
I'm assuming there's some double counting because the parents are probably counting the kids when they do the census.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody was trying to get into me, like, looking at this was like 10 years ago, and last census, and I was like, I'm not a census demographer, I'm just reporting what I can see here. I can't tell you a statistical,
Yeah.
do that kind of analysis, but it's just, clearly it's in the numbers.
Excellent, Chris.
I moved, we adjourn.
Ronnie,
Second.
1, 2, 3.
Bedtime.
Well, it's gotta be official.
The motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
44 votes.